Okay, it's time for the Color 1 exercise. And this is going to involve some independent work. The idea is that you're going to use a lot of those color stuff we talked about in the presentation, and you read in your text, and apply them to an exercise that pretty much comes from the textbook. It is due on Thursday. You make a project folder, Color 1 is fine. Make a root folder, Color 1 your name is fine. And inside there will be a HTML document called Color 1 and your name. Same as usual idea, right? Good. And by the way, this Color 1 is going to be used and reused in the future a number of times, so you really have to get it right to begin with. Where is Color 1 going to come from? Do you start with a blank document? No, this time you don't. And although you might have other folders, we don't actually need any resources or anything. There's just going to be one file in your root folder. And you're going to get that file from Moodle. Go to Moodle and download the file called Bistro. And when you get it into your root folder, rename it color1 name.html. So rename it for yourself. So you start with the Bistro file. And you'll see the Bistro file is a complete HTML document. And actually has some CSS in it too. Many of our exercise will continue to have embedded style sheets. And that's fine, because it makes it simpler, just a single file, it's all together. But do remember, in the real world, of course, we tend to have external style sheets as you've been working with your resume. So open it in Notepad++ or the editor of your choice, and you're going to go to page 325 of your text and follow the instructions from 13.1. Let's see. Let me see what that looks like. Page 325. I'm turning to that right now. Yes, you're going to do 13.1, adding color to a document. And it really is just page 13.1. Although just beside that is the background images stuff. This is not background images. You'd have to go back in the whole the chapter up to that point, the color chapter to that point, to find the text that really applies to 13.1, which is just basically how we use color. So you probably will have to go back and reread portions of this chapter. Be aware that the file that I'm going to give you, this Bistro file, doesn't look exactly like hers, but it's almost exactly the same. I don't think you'll see many choices, but you have to use mine, not any other one. And you don't have to type stuff up. My only additional instructions beyond hers is I do want you to add a comment to the CSS style section. Okay, so this is a CSS comment within the style section. And if you test it and all set, then you zip it up. But it's not quite that easy, because although it is a single page exercise, there's a lot to it. And there's lots of things that can go wrong. So consider condensing your hex codes when appropriate. Yes, read about that. And remember, of the 6 numbers, if they're paired up, then you can make it 3 numbers. She uses RGBA color in the header area. This is the most common error in this exercise, not understanding what RGB color is, not reading the text about it, and instead trying to use opacity separately. No, opacity is part of this color code. So read about it. Remember that CSS comments are not the same as HTML. I think you should go through this document and look at the code. It's interesting. It's some new stuff in here, and that is just supplied for you. You can learn some things from it. For instance, see how the fonts are used and what a web font looks like. She used a web font here. And don't worry that the links that she gives you don't really work. Some are dummy links. So one more, let me just show you a little bit in Notepad++. This is what the file looks like when you download it. So it's got a lot of stuff in it already. This is what it looks like at the beginning when you get started. And I run it. This is what it looks like when you run it for the first time. What is the web font? See this font up here? This is a very particular kind of script-like font called Marco 1. That is not something that there's a default version of or something, right? So she wants that one thing and has chosen to get it using a web font. How does that work? Let's take a look up in the head area, okay? Up in the head area. So we have the meta, and then we have the title, and then we have a link to Google Fonts, to a family called Marco 1. All right. So this link here which she got from Google, is actually going and getting the font. So this font is not called for by it doesn't come from the computer of the person viewing your website. Okay, this comes from someplace else online, so it's a link that goes and gets the font, brings it down for the website, and she uses it like this font. This is the shorthand way of writing font, bold, 1EM, and then there is a font stack still, because she's imagining what happens if marker 1 is not available for some reason. Okay, but she wants marker 1 and wouldn't normally get it except that she has the script that's making it happen. Also realize that she's using other fonts, but she is getting those from a font stack also, and she's got a font family for the body too. Okay, font size is set properly. Line height, she used line height here in the body, which I've asked you not to do, but you can notice it. One of the key things you're going to be dealing with is links. She supplies you with this link code, but you're going to have to give a lot more for link colors. But she's going to tell you what to do. When you get all done, oh, and also this whole thing with the header. This header area is going to be a key thing, how the color is applied there. When you get all done, it's going to look like this. Okay, here it is. You're going to have a one color background and a secondary background, okay, which has a transparency kind of on it. And then these links are going to have a hover quality, all right, hover quality. And they're actually going to have a visited and also a visited quality. So if I click on the link and go someplace and go back again, it's now going to look different than the link that wasn't visited. It's maybe a little hard for you to see. You can see it more. I'll make it bigger. You can probably see it more easily on your own computer, but it's a little bit duller than the other link. So, and it also she's got different color on headers and so on too. So you will learn a lot about, especially about links. Make sure you do all the link, different stages of the link, right? That represent all those levels, those different link states, and you do them in the right order. That's key to this instructions.